If you put the zoom blur on it, this is terrifying. The Nintendo 2008 catalog. 2008 was a very interesting year for Nintendo. A year where I believe many felt betrayal. This was when many hardcore gamers felt unsatiated, felt like Nintendo wasn't satisfying them anymore, and looked to seek for a full-blown separation, which is pretty wild. I mean, you look at what Nintendo put out that year. I mean, Mario Kart Wii and Super Smash Bros. Brawl, I mean, that's a pretty stacked lineup with just those two games right there. I mean, that satiates the hardcore. However, that was pretty much it in terms of like, oh, what kind of satisfied the core gamer from Nintendo specifically. Because outside of that, it was a big Wii series heavy year, culminating with Wii Music, as this cover is displaying these lovely family members playing. Mario Kart and Smash Bros. May have started out the year, but after that, I believe games that came out in 2008 pretty much consisted of like Mario Super Sluggers, Animal Crossing City Folk, Wii Music, I believe Wii Fit came out that year too. So it was a bit of a lighter year for Nintendo on the Wii specifically, and a lot of what Nintendo was putting out on the Wii was definitely casual oriented. But there's only one way to find out. Let's take a look at their 2008 catalog. I just remember a lot of people around this time definitely kind of considering Nintendo to be more of a joke in the gaming industry, something where they're like, that's not for me anymore. And you know, that sentiment kind of rang true throughout 2008 to 2009. Then around 2010, they were actually starting to put out stuff that people cared about again. Stuff along the lines of like Donkey Kong Country Returns and Metroid Other M at the time. People were super excited about that, and then became kind of a punching bag game, but I digress. And then Skyward Sword came out after that, Kirby's Return to Dreamland, Kirby's Epic Yarn, all of that. But from that 2008 to 2009 era, a lot of the people online, a lot of the commentary for Nintendo around the time wasn't the most positive. It was kind of like, yeah. Well, let's take a look. We can see they're talking about DS, Touch Generations, DS games, Wii, Wiiware, and Wii games. And then we have somebody here playing a DS. It's almost as if it's a daily necessity. Back in the day, people would check their DS daily as almost as if it was like a necessity. Like it's just like, oh, I gotta get my DS time in. You know, they would check their DS more often than they would check in with their dad, you know. See how he's doing. And we have a wide array of DS-like colors here. Metallic silver, rose, cobalt and black, crimson and black, and onyx. I was a white DS guy myself. I was also a white DS guy. So, I never really got any of these really cool colors, but I always really loved the look of the crimson black, and onyx was always just like, come on, you know, it looks so nice and shiny. But I always liked white because it didn't show fingerprints off too much. And moving over here, we have the Touch Generations line. They just have the entire lineup of the Touch Generations series. No matter how much these belong in it or don't belong in it, you know, like, you know, Elite Beat Agents, why? It always puzzled me what games belonged in the Touch Generations series and what games, you know, were never inducted into the Hall of Fame here. Elite Beat Agents felt like they only put that as a Touch Generations title to help it sell, rather than like, oh yeah, grandma gets that. And here they also specify that Touch Generations is on the Wii as well. A family night in front of the TV has never been this much fun. Just look for games with the orange Touch Generations logo. There was barely any. It was like Wii Music and Wii Fit. That was basically all there was in North America. And it's just like, that's a family game night? That's a chore! Yeah, as we can see, you know, an entire family playing, you know, Nintendo DS games at in a business hall, apparently. And we move on to the game lineups here. They're specifying some Touch Generations games, Mystery Case Files, which was oddly enough a PC game series that Nintendo licensed for the DS and Wii. Like, they published this game. This was pretty much a PC-only hidden object game. And I'm just curious as to why they felt the need to be like, oh damn, we need the Mystery Case Files brand. I just don't really see why they felt the need to license this specific game series when they could have very easily done their own hidden object game series, you know? But I digress. Personal Trainer Cooking is one of the more iconic Touch Generations titles. One where you can definitely see the value in smart software, I guess, in quotes, kind of taking over the roles of what used to be done by, you know, book, pen and paper, all of that stuff. With personal trainer cooking, you just set your DS off to the side and tell it to repeat, continue, last step, and it'll tell you what to do, show you pictures, also read it out to you so that you don't have to keep on rereading stuff. You can just hear what the DS is saying. It was really smart use of the DS, and something that I really do feel like kind of helped push forward where we are today with smartphone applications, just kind of helping us do things that books and pen and paper kind of stuff used to be the only method of doing so. But enough of this dumb cute shit, okay? Kirby Superstar Ultra. If you ever wonder why Nintendo remakes things all the time, it's because the children don't know their remakes. Back in 2008, how the hell was I supposed to know this was a game from the 90s on the Super Nintendo? I just thought this was a brand new Kirby game. I remember seeing advertisements for it all the time. It just felt like it's just like, oh man, yeah, this is a new Kirby game. You know, the Superstar Ultra, the Ultra doesn't really register to you as like, oh, this is obviously an older game. You know, the name Kirby Superstar already doesn't make any sense. Adding an Ultra to it doesn't make it any more or less of a new game. I think we can all recall when we were younger and had games released for like the Game Boy Advance and whatnot, and it never really registered to us that, oh, these are old games. So, you know, and this was another one of them, but this was for the DS. And yeah, to many, this is the definitive version of Kirby Superstar. And moving on, we have the Pokemon spin-offs, Pokemon Ranger and the Pokemon Mystery Dungeon dual release here, Explorers of Time and Explorers of Darkness. I got nothing. I found it interesting that Nintendo's going with this whole like handwriting thing with this whole catalog. They're just kind of doing like this whole like little doodles and whatnot. It's definitely interesting. Yeah, Pokemon Ranger, I know basically nothing about. Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, I've played a fair amount of Pokemon Mystery Dungeon games, unfortunately. It's just not a series that I think you can easily get into if you're not already into Pokemon or the Mystery Dungeon type of game style. Like, I feel like most of the people that really like this series grew up with Pokemon. They got this game as a kid because their parents saw a Pokemon game on store shelves. They said, my child loves Pokemon, so we'll get him this. And you just kind of put up with it for a while, and you tell yourself you really like it. I'm assuming a lot here. I'm very sorry. That's just my perspective on Pokemon Mystery Dungeon. But if you truly think that Pokemon Mystery Dungeon can be enjoyed by everybody, you know, please let me know. I'd love to hear why the series is special to you. Because, you know, like I never got it. And then we move on to pretty much just the third-party stuff. Yeah, that's pretty much all Nintendo had for the DS back then. That's very strange. But Club Penguin was huge back then. I never got into it. I was a Nicktropolis child. The LEGO series on the DS, I recall being very impressive for the system. You know, they're all fully 3D. They're pretty much, you know, like tiny versions of the full console LEGO games. And having 3D games on the DS was always badass. That was so cool. My Sims Kingdom, I never played any of the My Sims games on the DS, but I did play My Sims Kingdom on the Wii, and that is a childhood favorite of mine. It's one that I never have to play ever again, but I do have a lot of fond memories of. So I'd be interested to see how much the version on the DS is similar, or how different it is, all of that. My Secret World by Imagine, they had goddamn diary games on the DS. It was a wild time. I kind of miss that era. It was funny how it's just like, they were just like, oh man, we could release a damn calculator as a game if we wanted to. Silly Band's the game? Yeah, sure. Oh, this is by the Imagine series. That's funny. Yeah, the Imagine series was like this very just extended series of just non-stop games for a more casual demographic, you know, definitely targeted at young girls. And yeah, they made like probably 50 in a year, and they went all over the place in terms of like what they were. You know, they had like Imagine, you know, like diaries. And then Imagine Party Babies. It was just like, oh, Imagine Fashion Designer. I always wanted to be a fashion designer. Imagine Party Babies. I always wanted to be a party baby. Caesar Milan's Dog Whisperer is a game that Nintendo is really pushing for the DS in 2008. I can now understand why people were upset. Spectrobes, that was like a big thing apparently Disney was pushing. I remember this being like a Capcom thing. I forget why. All right, I looked it up. I was thinking of Spyborgs. That was a Capcom game for the Wii. Spectrobes was a Disney published game. This was when Disney Interactive was doing stuff outside of like the Disney brand, just trying to make games that, you know, were just original IPs. I remember they did like, oh man, what was it called? Like, they made like a motocross game called Pure, and they also did like a lot of stuff around this era, just trying to make like actual big games. Epic Mickey was really pushed around 2010. Yeah, Disney Interactive really is no more, which is unfortunate. But yeah, it was always very strange how much they would just try to push like original IP. It kind of reminds me of like Tak and the Power of Juju being a Nickelodeon property that was only a video game series for like 10 years until it finally got a Nickelodeon show that failed. But here they're advertising Rhythm Heaven, which I know came out in the springtime of 2009, with a, you know, preliminary logo here. That's pretty cool. It's always really cool to see that in these catalogs, see just kind of like that, those beta elements on paper. Kind of preserved in that way. And then we have Guitar Hero On Tour Decades and Castlevania Order of Ecclesia. Yeah, I feel so bad for the Guitar Hero series on DS, just with how Nintendo pretty much blue-balled them with the DSi having no access to the GBA port. And pretty much making these games incompatible with that system. I've already said this, but I always thought it'd be cool if they found a way to get around that. They could have potentially done something along the lines of releasing like a Guitar Hero game that used like a wireless Bluetooth cartridge. There's a couple of DS games that have like infrared in the cartridges themselves, like the Pokemon games, like Pokemon Soul Silver and Heart Gold, and there's Personal Trainer Walking, where the cartridge itself is like a wireless communicator, and you can point something to it, like the Poke Walker or the pedometer with Personal Trainer Walking, and it'll interface with it through those means. So they might have been able to do something, but it also kind of felt like, why would you make Guitar Hero for specifically just the DSi and Guitar Hero just for the DS Lite when you could just wait till the next system, which would be the 3DS, and Guitar Hero was dead by the time the 3DS launched, so whatever. Oh man, we have Guitar Hero Chinatown Wars, Sonic Chronicles, Tecmo Bowl, WWE. My god, this was somebody's game collection out there, and I want to talk to them. Grand Theft Auto Chinatown Wars, talk about just such a funny thing Rockstar decided to do, making a Grand Theft Auto game exclusively for the DS at the time. It eventually went to the PSP and iOS, like it had iPhone versions and whatnot, but it always felt the most at home on the DS. The PSP version always felt weird to me, like it just like, does this really belong on the PSP? Pretty much whenever the PSP tried to do DS style things, I was just like, dude, Scrabble, get the hell out of there. But Chinatown Wars was kind of an excuse for Rockstar to revisit that top-down GTA style that they really hadn't done since Grand Theft Auto 2 back in the PS1 and Dreamcast days. And a lot of people prefer the top-down style. I do prefer the standard style that everybody knows, the third-person style introduced with Grand Theft Auto 3. However, the top-down style still has merit, and I feel like Chinatown Wars gave them an excuse to revisit it, and I would love to see them bring it back once more. It was obviously not like, oh man, Grand Theft Auto evolved from this style. It was more so Grand Theft Auto went in a new direction with Grand Theft Auto 3. And I think it would be lovely to see them try this once again with just kind of like a smaller downloadable title maybe. Now, Sonic Chronicles: The Dark Brotherhood, yeah, they could definitely try that again. Why not? You could also get into hard drugs, you know? Your choice is your choice. I remember wanting this game just because it was a Sonic game that came out around the time. I remember I would formulate my wish list based on whatever I saw advertised in like magazines or catalogs and whatnot. And I remember Sonic Chronicles being something that came out. I knew nothing about this game. I just knew it was a new Sonic game. So I was just like, oh damn, well I should get this. I'm very happy my mom didn't care enough about me to buy this for me. An RPG done by BioWare. You may look at that and be like, oh my god, that's incredible. Have you ever seen this game? Tecmo Bowl Kickoff. I own this game. I saw this game at a retro game store recently, so I picked it up. I haven't played it, you know, I'm just not the most interested in a lot of, you know, football games other than just one. However, Tecmo Bowl is a classic, you know, I definitely want to try it out just to see how it evolved into the DS. looking at it, it looks very much like they went for a retro NES style game, which is really damn cool. I always found it really cool how fans of Tecmo Bowl would actually re-release Tecmo Bowl with updated rosters and whatnot. That was always really damn cool, and to see them kind of do it on their own, or at least just make a new Tecmo Bowl game, yeah, it's just, it's neat. Interesting pair up here. Call of Duty World at War. So I played all the Call of Duty games on DES. Interestingly, they all got better over time, but the problem is, as the years went on, you know, like I'd say like Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 on the DS is probably the best of the Call of Duties on DS, in terms of just like, hey, they really did kind of perfect their craft, I guess. But overall, by the time that came out, it's just like, why the hell were you playing it on the DS? Like why? Just give up, man. And Call of Duty games on the DS were fine for what they were. Like I think the go-to assumption is like, oh man, that must have sucked. And like, kinda, but for what they were, like they did the job. They gave you a first-person experience on the DS with multiplayer and all that stuff. Like, that's impressive. These games are genuinely impressive, and they're not bad enough to really like laugh at a lot of the time. You can laugh at them, but they're not funny bad enough. They're just kind of like, they're bad in the grand scheme of things, but looking at them on the systems, like, they're more impressive if anything. I think that's my main takeaway with Call of Duty on the DS. It's impressive, but outside of that, that's about it. Then we also have Chrono Trigger. This was interesting because around the same time, or at least like within a year or two later, they actually released Chrono Trigger on the Wii Virtual Console for like $8. So they had the DS version here, but the DS version is kind of the definitive version. It combines the best of the SNES version and the PS1 version and puts them all into one, and it's pretty much like, yep, this is how you play Chrono Trigger right here. And then boom, we have pretty much like a lineup here that's just kind of like best of DS, best of Wii right now, I guess. Great play for all time. Some games never go out of style. Here are some titles that have stood the test of time and continue to be great fun for everyone. Pretty cocky in Nintendo to put 2008 games on the Wii here, with Smash Bros. Brawl and Mario Kart Wii. How do you know these stood the test of time? They're months old. But yeah, we have all the Nintendogs here, Brain Age 1 and 2, Pokemon Diamond and Pearl, Mario Kart DS, Mario 64 DS, New Super Mario Bros., and The Legend of Zelda Phantom Hourglass. Yeah, I'd say that's fair. These are games that I don't really think anybody will look twice at you for playing in like 2008 compared to like 2012. Wii games wise, like, yeah, these all make sense. Why is the Wii Zapper there? Then we move on to this section about the Wii. Weirdly enough, I feel like in 2008, the DS was starting to kind of wind down a little bit. It's weird to think about it, but by this point, that system was already 4 years old, and in only about 2 years, we would have learned about the Nintendo 3DS. So, yeah, things were definitely starting to wind down for the DS, but the Wii, this was only the second year into the system. And, yep, oh my god. They already had all this shit by this time. It's insane. But they also were advertising the Wii Motion Plus in 2008. Yeah, this actually came out in 2009, but they were already talking about it a lot here. And, yeah, we might see something about, like, Wii Sports Resort and whatnot here. That'll be exciting. But, yeah, that's a nice looking picture of the Wii. Ever photographed that? Good job. Here they're talking about pretty much the Wii Online with Wiiware games, Wii Shop channel, Nintendo Wi-Fi connection. Man, those Wii points cards. I remember kind of like bargaining with my mom to get Wii points cards. You know, like I remember it was like if I did good in like my soccer game, I would make these bets myself. I would tell my mom, I'm like, hey, if I do good at the soccer game today, can I get a Wii points card afterwards? Because this was when I just wanted to play some old Nintendo games. I just wanted access to some old Nintendo games at a moment's notice. And a Wii points card, man, I could get like 4 NES games. That was badass. But here they're talking about WiiWare games available. Mega Man 9, I love Mega Man 9. Dr. Mario Online RX, I played a ton of. A lot of these other ones, I didn't really experience. Played My Life as a King, I played a demo for that. World of Goo and Tetris Party, I played demos of that as well. Tetris Party thankfully has a physical release, Tetris Party Deluxe, that you can pick up these days. Magnetica Twist, I never played. I only played the DS game Magnetica. And it's cool that they made a Wiiware version of that. But yeah, they also have Lost Winds, Strong Bad's cool game for attractive people, which was really interesting. That was like one of the first major like online web series that got like an actual like full-fledged video game, where this was developed by Telltale. This was a Telltale game based on a web show. It's crazy. Oof. All right, Wii Music. This was a Wii Music kind of year. Very interesting. I really wanted Wii Music just kind of based on just keeping up appearances, you know? I wanted it because it was another Wii series game, and I thought the idea of playing a trumpet with my Wii remote was kind of fun. It kind of was. I can't deny the simple pleasures of life, but overall, yeah, this game was always very directionless to me. Even back when I was a kid playing it, you know, I'm not gonna lie and say I never had fun with it. There was definitely fun I had with it. However, at the end of the day, it was just so... there was nothing to it. It was pretty much an incredibly polished noisemaker. That's what it was to me. And it did that job pretty well, and it was a fun little noisemaker. That's all it really was. I think Nintendo wanted it to be a lot more separate from other rhythm games at the time, like Guitar Hero and Rock Band, and because of that, they kind of went too far in the other direction. Now, like, I think it would have been cool to have a game that, you know, focused on giving you the joys of making music without having to learn instruments, but I think it went too far in that direction. I think it should have brought itself back a little bit to ensure that, hey, like, this is still a game, or this still has kind of a purpose, rather than like, hey, you want to be able to play drums without actually playing the drums? Here you go. Moving on, we have Animal Crossing City Folk. Yeah, this got a lot of just like a more critical reception back then, just because it didn't really add a lot new. It was pretty much like a really polished, refined version of Animal Crossing Wild World on the DS. You had Wii Speak support, you know, only like 2 games do, so, you know, good for it. But yeah, this was pretty much just like, hey, here's Animal Crossing on the Wii, rather than like, oh, here's a brand new Animal Crossing. It was a new Animal Crossing. It was like a new game, but it was so similar to like Wild World and the GameCube game for most people that it just kind of felt like, why would you play this? But this definitely played a part in Animal Crossing's quiet rise to be one of Nintendo's top franchises. Before New Leaf, I don't really think anybody really looked at Animal Crossing like, oh man, that's a really heavy hitter franchise, but it already was. I mean, this game on the Wii sold like crazy well, including the DS game and even the GameCube game. Like, this series always did incredibly well. And but I don't remember anybody really talking about it as if it was until around the time New Leaf came out. It was pretty wild. But yeah, City Folk, it was a good Animal Crossing game. It just didn't do a lot new. But I think like New Leaf and New Horizons definitely gave fans something a little newer. It was like, oh man, these are brand new games. It's not just a refined version of the last one. New Horizons, you can make the argument, but I mean, like, they do enough new with like the concept that I think it felt like a new game. But yeah, and then we have Mario Super Sluggers. Yeah, 2008, I'm starting to realize, was definitely a very derivative year of previous Nintendo games. You know, it just kind of felt like old games on the Wii. That's pretty much what it was. Old games with a new coat of paint. That's Mario Super Sluggers. It's pretty much the GameCube one on the Wii, a couple new bells and whistles. And motion control, force motion control, if you will. So I can understand why other people would prefer the original GameCube one. I can take or leave either or. I think these are great little Mario sports games, but they were never my favorite. Then we move on to the big heavy hitters of 2008. Mario Kart Wii and Super Smash Bros. Brawl. Mario Kart Wii was damn impossible to find. Like, you could not find this game for the life of you. And I swear it was mostly just because the wheel excited everybody. I feel like everybody was like, oh my god, the wheel? I get to use a wheel? But in reality, I think, once again, similar to Animal Crossing, this kind of quietly propelled Mario Kart into becoming Nintendo's, like, top franchise. It was always one of Nintendo's top franchises, you know? Like, Mario Kart was always nearing the top of every System's bestseller list. It was either nearing the top or it was the top. But Mario Kart Wii really helped propel it, even if it was because a lot of people wanted it because of that stupid ass little wheel. Even if you wanted it because of the wheel, you stuck with it because it was Mario Kart. And I was always very critical of Mario Kart Wii. The game frustrated the hell out of me as a kid. But playing it now, like, honestly, it's one of my favorites to play right now. It is so fun for like me, Sam, and Eric to just sit down and play a 32-track marathon because like it's not that long. It's only like a 2-hour experience right there. So you just sit down for 2 hours, you play through all 32 tracks, and you just see who comes out victorious. And I love it. I think it's super fun, and I think Mario Kart Wii is just that right amount of just garbage, bullshit. It can be so unfair, but that's what makes it really fun, and I think that's what sets it apart. I think Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is definitely the best Mario Kart, hands down. However, just because like we've been playing it for so long, you get kind of tired of it. You understand the item balancing at one point or another. I think the item balancing is fine in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, but sometimes you want to go to the dark side, you know? You want to see what it's like with a damn POW block, a stupid ass Mega Mushroom, dumbass Thundercloud. There's so much that Mario Kart Wii offers. It's just really fun. It's so fun. It's really difficult. It's an incredibly technical Mario Kart, which is shocking because it was kind of designed as the casual one, you know, one for casuals to understand and really play. It was the hardest damn game in the series. But yeah, I've really come around on Mario Kart Wii. I love Mario Kart Wii now. I think it's really fun. I think I think it is so damn unique with just like its item balancing and just its feel and all of that stuff, which is shocking because at the time I felt like it was one of the least unique ones. I didn't like how it looked. I didn't like how it played, all of that. Now, I love this stupid ass horrible game. And Super Smash Bros. Brawl, I love this stupid ass horrible game. It's definitely one where I can't really go back to it the way I can with Mario Kart Wii. I don't have much reason to go back and play Super Smash Bros. Brawl. I think Smash Brothers is a series where it's just like every game kind of just one-ups each other, where it's just like, yeah, you know, like there's no reason to go back to the last one. You know, Melee excluded because, you know, people have a reason to go back to that one. But yeah, you know, like Brawl, I felt like after you play Smash Brothers for Wii U, you don't really have a reason to go back to this. And Smash Brothers Ultimate, I don't really feel like you have a reason to go back to Smash Brothers for Wii U. Outside of just going back for nostalgia purposes to see how cool the trophies are, to see how cool a lot of the extra modes are, extra features, all of that. From playing from like a casual perspective, multiplayer-wise, you know, there's less and less of a reason to go back to each Smash Brothers. Mario Kart, I kind of thought the series was like that, but each entry has its own feel more than you really expect. So it's just like, yeah, there is a lot of reason to go back to Mario Kart Wii and just get fucking pissed off. Oh, the big rhythm game war. This was insane back then. Guitar Hero versus Rock Band. What do I think now? Well, back then, I didn't have either or. I only had DJ Hero because I was fucking cool. Within the past year, I picked up a Guitar Hero World Tour set. I wanted to pick up a brand new one. I wanted it to be brand new. I wanted to get the whole band in a box set. I got it, and I lifted the drum set out, and there was just hair on the bottom of it. It wasn't new. I got swindled. But either way, it worked. Whatever. But yeah, I have Guitar Hero sets now. And yeah, I used it to play a little bit of Guitar Hero, a little bit of Lego Rock Band. You know, that's the one I played. You know, honestly, I feel like Rock Band kind of has a bit more variety in the track list. I always felt like Guitar Heroes, the track list always didn't do a ton for me. I'm not saying the track list was bad, but like when I'm in the mood to play these rhythm games, I just want like all different kinds of variety. And Lego Rock Band had that. Check Yes Juliet, the Ghostbusters theme. Guitar Hero had actual music. I don't want that. Obviously, I kid. I think both of these games have their value. I think Guitar Hero focuses more on like, hey, let's fucking rock. Rock Band, I felt like had a bit more variety in the track list, which I do feel like either or, you know, like it's not about which one was better. It's about which one you're in the mood for. Sometimes you just want to play a rhythm game. It doesn't really matter what song it is, if you like the song or not. You just want to fucking rock out, dude. Rock Band is a little more like, let's have songs for everybody here. Songs that everybody can get behind. That's just off the top of my head, what's the difference between the two track lists. Keep in also mind, I've barely played a lot of Guitar Hero and Rock Band games. I've only played Guitar Hero World Tour and Lego Rock Band, so that's just based on what I've experienced. Wario Land, shake it. I'd really love to see Nintendo take a crack at Wario Land again with this art style. The art style is just definitely just what makes this game. Just this hand-painted look, this cel-shaded look, this 2D art. It's gorgeous. It was always weird to me that like they did this weird like 4x3 thing where they also had like elements of the game's user interface on the border. That was always strange. This was still in that era where I think Nintendo was still kind of finishing up their transition over to like widescreen development. So while most of their games were in widescreen, there were still some stragglers. But yeah, this was another 2008 release, and I almost forgot about it. And you know, I think a lot of people did. This was definitely one of the sleeper games of 2008. But yeah, I think they should have definitely pushed it a little bit more, because I think this definitely would have satiated some of the hardcore fans. Because it's just like, it's a 2D platformer game, you know, like on a home console. That was not as common back then. But nope. Let's advertise Carnival Games Mini Golf. So we're back at the third-party side of things. Samade Amigo. That was a really cool thing to see again. That was a Dreamcast game by Sega, where it's a rhythm game where you had maracas that you shook, but they kind of took it as an opportunity to use the Wii Remote and Nunchuck, which made sense. My Sims Kingdom, my beloved. Carnival Games Mini Golf. Yeah, I remember Carnival Games. Carnival Games was the game that everybody owned. I think the commercial just made it look like, oh my god, this looks incredible. And then I played it, and it was just like, it's fine, I guess. I don't know. I need to replay it soon to just kind of get like that whole experience again. Just kind of be like, all right, everybody owned this game, but like nobody talks about it. Like everybody wanted it because of the commercial, but like everybody played it and like nobody has anything to say about it. It's because it was like, it was a tier above shovelware. It was quality enough, I guess, but at the same time, it was kind of something where I'm like, was it though? Carnival Games Mini Golf was just a straight up spin-off that was just like, hey, let's just do a straight up mini golf game. And I remember this one not getting great reviews. I think I've played it. I might have even played it for a Shovelware Variety episode of Scott the Woz. I just might have forgotten about it. Keep in mind, I've played like hundreds of games for that series. So I might have forgotten Carnival Games Mini Golf. Maybe. I might have played it. I don't know. Maybe I can take a look at the entire Carnival Games series. That might be interesting. There was versions for the Nintendo Switch. There was a version for the Xbox 360. It's a deep series. Dance Dance Revolution Hottest Party 2. This is nearing the end of DDR's kind of reign on consoles. This is when I think a lot of people are definitely shifting over to the Guitar Heroes and Rock Bands. And DDR just wasn't doing it anymore, especially 2009, 2010. That was when Just Dance started to take over. But yeah, this was one of the later entries in the series on console. And then we have, oh, Monopoly. It's Monopoly. I've played this version. It is Monopoly. Can't get around that. The Blob, that was another kind of bigger third-party release. It was exclusive to the Wii back then. And yeah, it was published by THQ. It was one of those Wii series that was like, oh man, this is exclusive to the Wii. This is like a Wii series. And then Deplob 2 just had to be on multi-platform. And I think that's what helped kill the series. It's like, who the hell was playing that on PS3? Wii Sports Resort, yeah, 2009, coming soon. Tiger Woods PGA Tour 09, I believe that one, or PGA Tour 10, one of them had Wii Motion Plus support. It was probably 10 because, you know, Wii Motion Plus came out in 2009 alongside Wii Sports Resort. Star Wars The Clone Wars, WWE 2009, once again. Yeah, we're kind of getting to the, yeah. Link's Crossbow Training. Why are they advertising this? This was released in 2007. I guess it's because they want to show like the more mature / shooter games here, because it's advertised right alongside World at War, which was not good on the Wii in my opinion. From what I remember, that was not good on the Wii. Dead Rising Chop Till You Drop. Not good on the Wii, but a little more like pathetic, so you kind of give it a little slack. Mad World, that was a big thing back then. I mean, not big, but more so like, oh man, the Wii has its hardcore game. This is kind of their hardcore games section, I guess, right here. Let's see if it's continued in the next page. Welp, Wii Fit and Shaun White Snowboarding. Hey, I mean, talking about Wii Balance Board games, I guess they're kind of going over the accessory-based games for Wii Zapper and then Wii Balance Board. More Wii Balance Board. Rayman Raving Rabbids TV Party. I owned this game back in the day. This was the only Rabbids game I owned, and it just didn't really do it for me. Then we have Skate It, the Wii version of Skate. I find it very interesting to see kind of the Wii versions of Xbox 360 and PS3 franchises. I mean, you have stuff like Dead Rising Chop Till You Drop, and then you also had stuff like Dead Space Extraction. It's just interesting to see like how they had to rebrand some series to be on the Wii, where like, oh, this isn't Skate, this is Skate It. But yeah, they're heavily advertising the Wii Balance Board here, and here they're talking about the Wii plus the internet, which strange because they already kind of did that in the Wiiware section. They showed Wiiware and they showed like, oh, get a Wii points card, get all this, get all that. Ooh, I found a little bit of a misprint. They say Sonic the Hedgehog on the Wii shop channel is only 500 Wii points. I don't think so. I think Sonic the Hedgehog on the Sega Master System was 500 Wii points. I believe the Sega Genesis version was like 800 or 700. 700 to 800 is what Genesis games went for. And that is definitely the Sega Genesis version of Sonic 1, so I gotcha, Nintendo. Yeah, here they're just talking about the Wi-Fi connection, the Wii Shop channel, WiiWare, all that stuff. And yeah, that's pretty much this entire brochure. It really does show how lacking Nintendo's 2008 was at the end of the day. I do definitely see why a lot of people are like, man, Nintendo kind of betrayed us, but that wasn't the case. I mean, like, you still had kind of a good chunk of this was dedicated to more hardcore titles, but it was kind of hardcore titles that we've already all played, you know, games that we've already all known about, games that Nintendo was talking about for a good long while up until this point. So it just ended up feeling a little like, you know, what's there for me here? What's the future of the system like? And how does it really appeal to me instead of, you know, my parents? So looking at this catalog, I can definitely see why a lot of fans felt a little betrayed by Nintendo at the time. But, you know, the only way we can truly find out is by watching videos. This catalog comes with a damn DVD. That was so cool back in the day. You would get DVDs or demo discs or whatever with a lot of this stuff for free. We gotta check this out. I'm using the PS2 because this is creepy. You ever see like a Nintendo thing or a Microsoft thing, whatever, like another brand on another brand of game console? Oh man, here it comes. Wow. Look at that, it's green. All right, so it's not supposed to look like that. It's probably because we're using the PS2 and there's something funky going with the color video output. But roughly, this is what it looks like. Look at that. What I was saying was pretty much the idea of like seeing another game console's logo on the competing game console. That's f***ed up. Well, like I said, this is not supposed to look like this. It's not supposed to have a weird green tint. It might be yellow. I don't know. I can't tell. But yeah, we can check out Wii info. Let's see what's going on there. Oh man, what is Wii? Now, just some movie magic for you. Behind the scenes input. I ripped this DVD years ago. I've had this brochure for quite a long time, and I ripped it, so I have all these video files on a hard drive of mine, so I use them sometimes when I'm editing Scott the Woz episodes and I need trailers for Wii games or whatever. I need B-roll like that, so I'll oftentimes use the files from this DVD because, you know, they're very clean. I ripped them straight from the source. And yeah, so I already have this video. On my hard drive, just not in a funky green flavor. It's very interesting. They have whole buttons for just Wii music. Oh man, they even have little intros. But yeah, it's just a trailer for Wii music.
There is music in all.
Nothing crazy. I just want to see the Wii games. The Wii games menu. I want to see what's going on here. Oh, look at that. All right. We got all the major 2008 releases here. And then if I go to more games, what's going on? Oh, God. Here we got a whole Carnival Games mini golf section. You can't find that on most DVDs. Yeah, pretty much just, and you click on it, it's going to give you a trailer for the release. Nothing too crazy. And, I would watch some of these, but believe me, I've seen most of these trailers. I've ripped them to my to my computer. They ain't anything special. They're very much just trailers from the time, just not even funny little commercials. Like, it's just like, oh man, I really wish, like, oh man, do you want to hear my commentary on the Kirby Superstar Ultra trailer? Well, let's see. Okay, well, it's rated E. Yeah, that is true. I mean, I could have gotten maybe something out of that tagline, but I'm too tired to. It's just gonna be a Wii Fit promo.
And if you're like me,
That's all it is. Yeah, I think this is still really cool. I think it's really cool to have just kind of this physical disc containing all these trailers, because honestly, a lot of these trailers, if you try to find them online, they are in such piss quality. It is insane. Whereas here, like, we have them in, you know, like 480p, maybe 360p, but still, like, decent enough quality where you can actually see what they what everything looks like, instead of, like, if you try to look up a 2008 trailer these days on YouTube, you're going to be met with this.